Hi, everybody. I'm typing in Jamal Story's website. Give me 1 second. It's Friday. Oh, I'm so excited for this guest today. Do, 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 do. Yes. Pin. Great. Hey! Oh, hey, Bias Isaac. I'm putting my phone in place. I'm getting ready for an amazing interview. I'm a little crooked, but it's okay. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy March on Washington Day, everybody. Oh my God, this is going to be great. I am interviewing the amazing Jamal Story, my good friend. And I'm not at home. I am actually coming to you live from Asbury Park, New Jersey. I've been on vacation here for the last couple of days. And it has been an amazing moment for me to just relax, clear my thoughts, clear my spirit, clear my energy to get ready to dig back into the work that's ahead. So I hope you all have been having a beautiful day. Today, my special guest is Jamal Story, dancer, choreographer, published author. Hey, and I see him there. Hey, Jamal Story. Let me bring him in so I can have him tell you about him. Okay, let's see. Yes. Waiting for Jamal. I'm so excited, y'all. I can't help it. This is going to be so great.
Came in too soon. I wish I had just gone on ahead and let you keep talking because it was great. It was great. It was great. In fact, where did you leave off? You said accomplished author and
Author, dancer, beautiful man, all of the above. Look at you looking all gorgeous. Why am I just seeing my head? I'm like, wait, I need a pillow. So I'm at home, so I gotta adjust.
Oh, I love it.
Oh,
You look
here we are. Good look.
beautiful.
Action. Hello, darling. How are you?
I am well. Listen, I am well. I'm doing pretty well. Pretty well. I can't complain. And you know what? If I did, it wouldn't do any good anyway. So so I just don't. I try not to.
Yes. I was
Lot of things.
several reasons. Obviously, because I adore you, and I've gotten so was so happy to get to know you over these years, but especially during those 6 weeks we worked together. We'll get to that. But
Yes.
with everything that's been happening this week, these IG live sessions, I try to use for uplift, but obviously we cannot avoid what's going on. And I'm just so happy that I'm speaking to you, someone to me who exemplifies Black excellence. And you're a Black man, and you're amazing, Jamal. And I'm just happy that this interview today fell on today, the anniversary of the March on Washington and everything that's going on right now, all of the protests. I've been watching off and on all day. I admit I was at the beach most of the day today. You know what I'm saying? But I did pop in and out. I got to see, Dr. King's granddaughter speak today, and I'm just on the beach trying to wipe the, it's important. And then some of the university kids all the way from where they live, I think in Minnesota, I'm sorry, not Minnesota, Milwaukee, all the way to Washington, D.C. And so it's encouraging as it is overwhelming and emotional. And, how are you feeling on this day? How are you feeling dealing with it all?
I'm happy that we're doing this on this day too, and this is a very important day. And I was so happy to hear through acquaintances and friends and people sort of in the network that they were there in DC, or they were there in spirit, or they were going to DC. It was very, very affecting to know that people were interested, and that there was something positive and uplifting about that today. So yes, I ditto on that. This has been a very fatiguing time for a lot of us. And the way that it has affected me is that I find that the space for advocacy and the space for voice, for sharing voice, for giving voice to all of this is ripe.
Mm-hmm.
And and that those of us who do this kind of advocacy, or any kind of advocacy, anything that is geared toward helping, to developing, to cultivating, to nurturing, to growing any body or bodies, um, feels the compulsion to do it in this context, in this very current sort of, racially charged context. I say racially charged because, of course, I remember when we were hearing the term post-racial all the time, and I was like, what are we doing? What's happening? That doesn't exist. It's not a thing, And so now I always think of, how are we describing the time? How do I want us to describe the time,
Yeah.
sort of creating new narratives. But to answer your question, I feel, I've been feeling better, better, even though, there's always something, right? If it's not where we were last, waiting on someone to arrest Breonna Taylor's killers, now we're dealing with a new one, in another state in the middle of the country. I mean, it's always something. But one of the things that has made me able to sort of kind of survive it in a way, this aspect of it, is that as someone from Los Angeles, I was there when Rodney King happened.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Okay.
that was I was coming of age. We were all high school. We were Tupac listener. Yeah, we were. That was the. It was, well, Cross Colors was a little before that, but whatever. It was that I'm that generation, right, in LA. So when we experienced that, and then everything that happened subsequently, the unrest, the rioting, all that stuff, I got to see that as a before high school was done. So for me, it has been happening and happening and happening and happening and happening,
Mhm.
and I got to see this happen the first time. So it has been for me a matter of not just I'm depressed,
Right.
because again I kind of go, this unfortunately is status quo.
Mhm.
Now we're having a conversation. Great, let's do more of that. Um, but the sort of initial trauma, if you will, of going through that at that age in Los Angeles, helped to prepare me for all the moments that have happened subsequently. It doesn't make them less devastating or less bad or less urgent. I mean, there's obviously the disparities of race in this country are exigent and have been for a long time. But you have more tools. You have more. I have more tools,
Oh,
and so on.
I feel you, and I just can't help but thinking, like, my heart, goes out to you, obviously, to have witnessed that firsthand, the Rodney King situation, the LA riots, all of that, like, up close and personal, probably smelling all the burning and the gas, just all of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But just the continued PTSD that we are suffering as a people. And then I back to, like, I had this conversation with my mom, but about my mom on
Mm-hmm.
one of these episodes where, and I'm trying not to cry because it's like, oh,
No.
my heart breaks for her generation and generations before that
Yeah.
they're just seeing this on and on. And I used to get really frustrated with my mom's seeming apathy about
Mm-hmm.
voting or politics and whatever. Because
Right.
because I'm sure in their mind, me too. And
Mine as well.
what's changed?
Yeah.
Seeing even more so now because of TV and video and all the other things, these bodies being laid out in the streets, and it's like, when is it ever
Yeah.
going to change?
Yeah.
And to another friend of mine, it's like, yeah, I just want, the humanity has to be in there. And I took a quote actually off your website, which
Mhm.
so I do my investigations, and
Love it.
it's such a good quote. Oh, it says, after nourishment, shelter, and companionship, stories are the thing we need most in the world. And I feel like when you learn about people, when you learn about a person, right? Maybe you hope you're less likely inclined to hurt them or kill them, or I don't know. Like, if they
Yeah.
get kidnapped,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
first thing you can say to your kidnapper, my name is so and so, because if they see you as a human,
Right.
they still,
Right.
but
Mm-hmm.
potentially they'll not really hurt you. And I feel like if some of these people that look down on other races that are not, like them, if they knew their story, if they just saw them as human, that we all do the same things every single day. We all go to church, we all go to school, we all raise our kids, we all breathe and go to the bathroom and cry over our parents, and on and on and on. We're doing the
Yeah.
exact same thing. We all bleed red.
Right, right. Yeah, and that there's empathy in it, right? That the audacity of hope in this case is the acknowledgement of the possibility of empathy. You
Yes.
know what I mean? That's what it is. We're looking at all of these trying to use the stories to find the intersections
Yes.
where we can actually converge in a place of mutual understanding or mutual feeling, right? I mean, that's what, and that's true. That's what stories are supposed to do. So telling them is empowering to everybody.
Yeah.
Giving people the
And
opportunity to tell their stories is empowering to everybody. That's been my theme for this entire quarantine is please tell your stories.
yes, I think that's what I've been getting the most joy out of doing,
Mhm.
these IG lives.
Yeah,
I really do
yeah,
put them out because, I've said this before. I did go to college for journalism because I love
yeah.
telling stories. I love sharing stories. Even as a songwriter, it was about telling a story. And that's the kind of music that I like. Those are the kind of ballets that I like, with all of that and so on. And so, but I want to get now back to the Jamal story that I may not know so much about because I totally forgot that you were from Los Angeles, born and
Yeah.
raised. So
Uh-huh.
tell me
Pretty much.
because when I see you, whenever I see you, it's always love, it's always smiles, spending that time with you in Vegas. I mean, you just took such good care of me because I'm stepping into this world-class situation with Cher and everyone else. And I think of you, it just makes me smile. You're so warm and you're so encouraging. And tell me about your childhood. Like, where does that come from for you?
You know, it's interesting. That's a good question. I think that I was, and my mother sort of verifies this every now and then, depending on what day of the week it is and what she's wanting to say. But I think I was probably a horrible little kid,
Hmm.
meaning that I was not. I think a lot of, first of all, I think a lot of character traits that are passed down. You know what I mean? It's whichever ones you grab from whichever parent or above that, like you, and they all make up who you are, right? And so that, and I guess the zodiac or something, right? But I think that some of it is just out of our control, right? And so for me, my natural one, I was even more Vulcan as a little boy than I am now. Like the lack of the feelings,
Mm-hmm.
it was really bad. And so I think that I think that my mother, seeing that inclination, kind of, she kind of said, "Oh no, 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 no! You're not going to be cold. I can't have you be cold. You're just not. I can't." That somehow she was like, "I'm going to fight this impulse in you, no matter what." And so what she did is, single parent. What she did is she decided every single woman in her life, I mean, every close friend, every colleague that she loved, these women were going to all be in mine.
Ah,
So when I grew up, I was sort of, you know, inundated, and I say this in the best way, with a lot of woman love.
mm. I just want to
Yeah.
stop you right there because I was hanging out with Felipe yesterday. He's actually watching. Hi,
Yay! Oh my God! Why did I become seven? Go ahead.
you know, and that's what I think about when I think about you. Like you, I see you with your other women folk, and you are such a caring person when it comes to women. That's exactly what it is. Like I'm sure your men friends feel this way too. I see Brian
Yeah.
over here,
Yeah.
but he just feels so like taken care of and enveloped and like. I'm sure you have so many women that have crushes on you because I know I certainly do. But I'm just saying, like, just so now I see where it comes from. No, I do.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
At it.
My mother did. She did, and and I don't even know that if she did it deliberately. Meaning, I don't know that it was always aunties deliberately. I think that was her village. Do
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Like her village was deep with like these women who were able to do that for me. And so yes, there's a part of me that, and I'm raised as an only child too. So there's a part of me that sees these women that I grew up with and love so much. I see bits and pieces of them in all of the women that I engage with on a pretty regular basis. And so, and yeah, and the guys. I mean, because I'm an only child. I think that's the other thing that the assumption is we're always spoiled as hell, and we are in some way. mine, I'm an affection, like I'm a, you know, touch me, hug me, I'm that person, right? That's where I'm spoiled. Not so much materialistic,
Mhm.
not so much, you know, not so much that, but what the part they don't know is that because we're only children, if we're good people and we like people, we end up extending our villages, you know, pretty wide. So the hug becomes a bigger one, and I think that's where all the warmth is.
You give the best hugs. I actually, right before we came on, I posted that photo of us closing night at the Coliseum for that run. That
That run.
like one of my favorite pictures. I think I've posted that picture at least 20 times on Facebook.
I
But
love that picture.
as can I ask too? I mean, your dad
Yeah.
around New Orleans.
So my biological father, you know, the story is very fun, to especially hear my mother tell it. They were all in college. A lot of these people, the aunties too, and some of they were all in college together, and they were all the only black people at for what is it Pacific Northwest. Why am I saying Pacific Northwest University? Like that's a place. Anyhow, in Forest Grove, Oregon, Pacific University is where they were, and there weren't that many black students, so they were all very close. My father was one of those. He is younger than my mother. But
Okay.
the idea they became very right. They became very close friends. They all were, and then somewhere long after undergrad, I think my mother was 29 when she had me. You know, this kind of happened one night, and it was the idea that, you know, my mother's very, very much that woman back then. Listen, we don't have to get married. We
Mm.
don't have to like we're not in a relationship. We don't have to pretend or make something up. We've been friends, kick in some money, you know, like to help out, and then go live your life and do your thing.
Mm-hmm.
But he got into his own something entanglement. I'm gonna use, yeah, that had nothing to do with me, mom, anything. And you know, she's a crazy person in
Right.
a lot of ways for that. And so she just, you know, so as a result, he made a choice basically not to be in my life or have that relationship. So,
So
you
my
know, so, yeah.
uh,
So it's my biological father and I don't have a close relationship. I am very, very close to my father's side of the family though.
okay. Oh, that's good. That's
Hmm.
you had that.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom was the opposite, where she had me 20. I want to say 2021. And back in those days, my mom would be 72. As I said, you know, you get pregnant, you get married, and that's the person you marry because you're pregnant, you're together. And it was
Yeah.
the best thing. And she divorced him before I was even, I think before I was two. And I had, you know, stepfather as well. And they, you know, parted ways when I was 6 or 7. But for the most part, yes, raised in a single family home. My dad wasn't around much too. Did your mom ever get married? Did you ever have?
She did. She did, and it's in my first book, 1234. Well, it's the first book is not autobiographical, so let me not suggest that it's not. But there are a lot of autobiographical things in it, and one of them is a short story that deals with my mother and my stepfather getting getting married. And they were married for like 10 minutes. It was a really quick, but it was all too. It was sort of like, you know, I don't know if boyfriend girlfriend works when my son is 9, and I'm not trying to, you know, show that kind of, you know, I want to set an example and all those things that your parents do because they want to present the best, you know, scenario of life for you. So they got married, and of course at 9 I was like, what are you guys doing? Why are you doing this? This doesn't make any sense at all.
Were you in the wedding?
Oh yes, oh yes. Wait, the funny thing is, not only was I in the wedding, the joke was that I was better dressed than the groom. I had a tux. He didn't.
I,
He didn't have a tux.
I know you
I
did,
had
Jamal.
one. That part,
I
like,
love it. So wait, so tell me. Okay, so going back to childhood, starting to when did you start dancing? When did the dance start for you?
the dance started later. It was gymnastics first.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened is it was a weird time to do men's gymnastics and think about it long term. You know what I mean? Like, first of all, it's better to start later actually because you haven't gone through puberty yet, and so you don't have all the upper body strength and stuff that you're going to develop. It's going to happen anyway. So gymnastics is you can get to it later than I did. And then I was kind of looking, and the Soviet Union was still, you know, intact at that time and dominating. And if it wasn't the Soviet Union, it was the Germans, and this is all the men's gymnastics program, not to be confused with what's happening on the women's side. Totally different scenario. But, you know, I just didn't see a future for me there. You know, I thought I'd have to win. I wasn't extremely competitive either, not in a like I'm gonna beat you kind of way. So I didn't that didn't seem appealing to me. I didn't want it badly enough. And then what was gonna happen if I have to win in order to get my face on the Wheaties box, and then maybe there's some money involved in that, in endorsement at that time prior to Instagram and Facebook. You know what I mean? So I had all those thoughts and said, maybe this is not something I should do. But then I needed to find something to replace all of those hours and all of that energy and all of that sort of output. I needed to do something, you know. So
at Lula
so I started. So I went to, well, before that I was at the California Academy of Mathematics and Science. First of all, I was in high school, and it was located on a college campus, which then gave us access to really, really great PE. So, you know, we had like, you know, swimming, and we had track and field, and we had some other things that were there on the campus, and we had dance. They brought in some college students from UCLA, hired them to teach the dance, you know, rotation. Oh, you have like stuff. You should do this. You look like you'd be great for dance. I don't know. You should take the ballet class. I don't know. So then I took it, and then it was kind of fast tracking, and then Lula Washington, whom I had already gone to see about training, you know what I mean? But it was going to be really grueling. It was a lot of hours. We didn't live close enough. It was going to be a lot of commuting. My mother's a single parent. I said, this is not going down.
Yeah.
But then later, you know, I mean, listen, God is going to have God's way, right? And so later on, the college students were teaching us dance and stuff, and then we had our own little dance show, and then three of us, because, you know, that sounds like something that college students would do. I mean, of course we put together a dance show for the kids. And so then three of us decided we were better than that. Oh. And we were not better than the teachers, but better than just one show. We could do more. So we set up our own little dance company and did little performances and things. And we did.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, I won't say their names, Kiana, Desiree, Chandra. Anyway, so the thing is, we would do our own little thing, right? and we did a whole thing at the Carson Mall. It was in the Carson Mall, and one of the dancers from Lula Washington Dance Theater, which was then LA Contemporary Dance Theater, Maisha happened to be there, and she says, "Hey, listen, we're doing Maisha Brown. Would you be interested in coming to do something with Lula? We need extra guys." Same problem. We need extra guys, and it's a really easy thing. It's in a big group piece. It's, you know, and it was to screaming and hollering like old school, right? You know, like a. So I went and did it, and then, you know, it was one of those things where I went to rehearsal, and there were other guys there who were not necessarily dancers, but they needed dance belts to fill the stage, or a box of briefs in this case to fill the stage, because, you know, and I remember my partner at the time, she was really excited and happy to help teach it to me and all that kind of stuff. I think it was 17, 16. And then Lula said, "Oh, I see some talent. Let's throw you in this trio in the same ballet." Wow. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is good. Let's throw you in this. And then that graduated to, you know, I want to have a conversation with you and your mom. Do you have good grades? How are they? And that's kind of, and then I started dancing with the company, which is very much not the route I would necessarily take, but, you know, that's how it works in Black dance a lot, right? You get on stage, and then you dancing, and then someone's yelling at you. You're not in your spacing. That's not the step. What are you doing?
Oh my God.
Stop. We're going to go back. Jamal, you're not in your spacing.
Right.
Stop. We're going to go like that. That kind of thing happens, right? And then after you do all that dancing around, then you go get trained.
Right. Right. So wait. So you were still in high school.
Yeah.
Dancing with Lula.
Mm-hmm.
So that's on with myself with Philadelphia. I joined Danko, the main company, at 16, and I joined. And I want to talk about that too, because not only Lula Washington, but you've danced for other of our legacy Black female women leaders in dance.
Mhm.
But on Joan Myers Brown, people was very adamant that I kept my grades up. Like she was always on me. Let me see your report card, like every quarter. And thank God for that because I was able to excel and keep my grades up and go on. But
Yeah.
you're with Lula. You're dancing. You're achieving all kinds of greatness.
No, really, it was crazy. Well, part of it though too, and this is the thing that it's always an important conversation to have, I think, because my story is very different in the sense that I didn't start out and go, "That's what I want to do." I didn't have that moment where I saw the thing that inspired me and said, "I'm going to be that. That's what I'm going to do." Do you know what I mean? What happened is dance literally chose me, which was great. And God had all the stuff in there already for it, but I was out of the loop,
I love it.
meaning the dream didn't happen and all of that stuff and the pursuit. So when I was dancing with Lula, I was still trying to figure out whether or not this is what I was going to do. Do you know what I mean? I thought this is great. You know, I'm in high school. I get to leave on certain weekends because, you know, this is a pickup company. So, you know, I get to go to, wait, where are we going? We're going to like Minnesota. That's great.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, now, like years later, we're going to where are we going? What's on the schedule? But then you could have told me we were going to Camden, New Jersey, and I'd have been like, yes, let's do it. Like,
You love Jersey now. I'm just saying.
we do love Camden. We do love Camden. But you know, I was down. I was ready for it. So you know, but then once I got out, I went. You know, this is Vulcan. Does this make sense? Is this a career that I can sustain myself with? You know, people are going, "Are you gonna do this like dance?" I don't think people worried about. Right. I don't think people worried about whether or not I would be successful at whatever. I think that they were just worried about whether or not I'd be able to eat.
Right. What did your mom think? What did your mom think about all this?
My mother's whole platform, and I'm sure you remember this, Peter. My mother's whole platform was like, you can do whatever you want to do as long as you go to school. As long as you get that degree, I'm fine. But then she remixed it on me my sophomore year because I auditioned for Hubbard Street. Hubbard Street came. We were looking for somebody, and you know, and we were doing the thing where this was when Lou Conti was still the artistic director, and we were in college. Of course, you go to the audition. You don't expect to get a job. Well, I got offered a job.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, sophomore year, I got Hubbard Street, and then the audition was on a Friday. We were off the following week for spring break, and he says, "I'll give you 10 days to make up your mind." He was irritated that I didn't know I wanted to leave college and come to the company or anything. But he gave me, he says, I'll give you, you know, this time. And then I was trying to, you know, talk to my professors. I wanted to get with everybody so they could weigh in. And so I couldn't because we were on spring break, and my mother weighed in, and she shocked me and said, well, you know, maybe you should take it.
Wow.
And I went,
wow.
who is this? Can Gail, I need Gail on the phone now. I don't know who this is. Please. But she said, no, you know, you're a good kid. You're a good student. You're all those things. I see that you're responsible, and now by this point, I had flown back and forth from Dallas, from undergrad to LA, often for Lula Washington Dance Theater, to help my mother finish her master's as her typist. Because
you know what? You know what?
So I was,
Yeah,
my
mother.
So a lot of my writing, you know, like journalism. So even in high school, you'll appreciate this because you were a journalism major. So when I was in high school, my mother also taught at Jordan High School, and she was English teacher at Jordan High School in Watts, and she was over the newspaper, the Bulldog Sentinel. And so she was the editor. She, you know, was over that. She brought the kids had stories. They would handwrite them and bring them in. And my mother hated computers. She still does. That's true to this day. So what she did is she put me on payroll with the school district so that I could type all of that stuff, that I could be the typist for all of that. So she was getting me paid by the school to do right. And so I was getting a lot of my writing just through osmosis, just because she was editing on the fly. And so I'm making all of her edits. So I kind of learned so much. And then I was writing for the Daily Breeze as sort of the de facto Black movie critic, because they didn't have any of the Black people writing on staff.
Ending this IG Live, right? I can't. I am done.
The truth comes out.
You're like,
Oh yeah, all this stuff. It's so funny. I'm realizing, good on you. And this is, and you know, somebody, I know that there's a Barbara Walters Award that you need, because what's interesting is part of the reason I haven't talked about this stuff is nobody asked these questions, you
oh,
know? And so good on you for asking about it. Because I'm like, yeah, I haven't talked about this in a long time, but yeah, I used to. In fact, here's some tea. When I was writing, it was a teen page at the Daily Breeze first, right? And then because I had been writing there for a few, years, I guess, they started giving me the black movies. So, you know, it's Poetic Justice, The Inkwell, all that. That's that period, right? Minister Society.
yes.
So I was getting all these journals, and the first article I ever wrote, my audition piece for the Daily Breeze team page, I was on the phone with Jessica Hollowell, who was the editor at the time, and she said, "So, you know, I just want to get a feel for you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera." And then I said something about the release of Madonna's new video, Erotica.
Oh, okay.
I can't believe I'm saying this on IG Live, but anyway, it's been enough years. She'll forgive me.
Yeah.
So I had written. She says, "Well, I want to know, how do you feel about erotica?" And I was like, I went off. I was going, I don't know. It just seems like so much. It's like, you know, how many different ways do we need to revolutionize the orgasm before it becomes satisfactory? I don't really understand this particular rendition of. And she says, you should write about that. I think I'd love a story on that. So I wrote an opinion column, a short editorial, basically critiquing erotica. This was years before I would dance with this woman.
Which is crazy. So, do you still have that article? Do you still have it somewhere?
I do. If anybody wants to see it, I'll find it.
Oh, that's crazy, Jamal.
It was so many things. And of course, I should pull it. I'm going to go back and read it. I don't know if anybody would be interested. Actually, I'll post some of it on Instagram.
A photo of it, just like,
yeah.
just joining us. Welcome and thank you for stopping by. Thank you for spending some part of your Friday with me on this historic day, number one. And I'm at Asbury Park in this amazing house that I'm staying in for the couple of days. And speaking to the amazing Jamal Story, his website is pinned at the bottom. So please look him up, follow him if you don't already know him. He's an amazing, incredible human being, dancer, choreographer, published author. So I'm also want to get to obviously your work on Broadway and in dance companies, but so you're doing the paperwork, you're writing in the paper, and so you don't take Hubbard Street. Is that
I don't take Hubbard? Well, okay, let me tell you why I didn't take, or why it fell off the table. So I couldn't talk to anyone. My mother said, "I give you my blessing." I said, "Okay, well, so now I need to talk to the powers that be, the people who are there at the university, counselors, in the dance department." And I got sick over spring break. And, and I thought, it's probably just, and then a few days later, oh no, this is strep. I thought it was strep. So I went, it was fine. Get an antibiotic, right? I've had it at this point. I'm 20, I think I'm 20. I go to the doctor and then they do the throat culture and say, "Oh, you tested negative for strep.
Mm-hmm.
We think that this is mononucleosis."
Oh, great.
I had never even heard of mononucleosis at this point. I was like, who has that? Like, where they do that at? So someone said, "Yeah, mono," and I went, "Oh, mono, yeah, vaguely, okay." But they said, so I said, "Well, what do I do for that?" "That's a virus. That's just going to run your system. You're going to need 6 or 7 weeks, maybe longer." I said, "It's going to take 6 or 7 weeks to recover." And they said, "Yeah." And so because it looked like I wouldn't have been able to start the job if I had said yes, I'd have effectively left school in the middle of the semester to go to Chicago to start working immediately. So that kind of, I gotta say no, because I actually won't be able to do the job. And then a week after I said no, not even less time than that, this had just gotten worse and worse and worse and worse. And I said, are you sure? I went back and got another culture, and they said, oh yeah, your throat culture must have just been a bad swab because it's definitely strep.
Oh no.
So that's when I knew two things. I knew that number one, wow, people you really do your jobs a little more thoroughly with that kind of stuff. But also, this was divine intervention. I was not supposed to be at Hubbard Street.
Well, there's that. My mind went right there because I also believe in we go that path takes us where we're supposed to, whether we're
Yes,
it, whether we're hurt by it, or whether we're joyous about it, we're
sure.
where we need to be. But did you? So was there any fallout from them giving you a wrong diagnosis? Because that could be lethal. Like
It
stress
could be.
body can like take your kidneys out, all kinds.
And fortunately, I hadn't let it go long enough
Okay.
for it to become. I just knew that if, based on the initial prognosis, I just figured, hey,
Yeah.
if it's not supposed to get any worse and it's getting worse,
Mm-hmm.
something is wrong. So yeah, but the answer is no. There was no real fallout at that time, and then it was undergrad. I can't even remember what
Yeah.
clinic I went to. I don't believe it was the on-campus
Mm-hmm.
clinic because they're only open a certain time. With dance rehearsals and all that kind of stuff, you never make it.
Mm-hmm.
You just college,
I
that period.
how many people I've seen as I'm just kind of peeking down at the comments. Oh, he cute. Oh, Jamal is
Um,
fine. Yes, yes, he is. Yes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, I have. Anyway, so we got about 24 minutes. I'm watching my little clock, and there's so much
Oh,
to get to. Okay, so where
oh.
do you after SMU? SMU, right?
Mhm.
SMU, Dallas Black Dance?
I did some Dallas Black dancing while I was at SMU. I did Dallas Black dancing. I did some stuff with them when I was in between
Ah.
their main stage shows in Dallas. I did while I was an undergrad, and then the Olympics, the Summer Olympics, Atlanta '96. We
Yeah.
were doing the Olympic Arts Festival, so we were there and we did the full. We did so and I was so pressed to get to the Olympics. I was so happy. Uh, Somehow I thought that we were going to be able to get there early enough to go to, I don't know, the opening ceremonies.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't happen. That
We were
didn't happen.
there then. That was my last daily. And so I was
That's
down
nice.
there. Yeah, we left though the night before. So I guess it was part of the opening ceremony stuff that we performed. And we
Right.
the day before the bombing happened. So were you there when the bombing happened?
I was there when the bombing happened. Yes. I
Oh,
was there. And I remember being there because it was one of the two times in my life I've had to call my mother, as right away, but couldn't call her right away.
mm-hmm.
One was the bombing, and then the other was 9/11. And it was funny because 9/11, just so we're clear, I was on tour with Madonna. I was actually in Los Angeles, and my mother still called me, and I went, Mom, I am actually here. I'm not in the house, but I am here.
yeah, absolutely. So okay,
Yeah.
SMU, Dallas Black Dance during SMU.
Mhm.
And let's be clear, this is an amazing company out of Dallas, now helmed by Melissa Young. Is her
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
Young Hill?
Mhm.
But the founder, artistic director, was she the founder? And
Ann Williams was the founder, and at the time, Daryl Sneed was the rehearsal director.
okay,
At-
she's still with us. Again, Lula, Joan, Cleo,
Mhm.
and I'm sure I'm missing. There's two more.
Um, uh, what for me?
Well, for just I think
For Geraldine.
Geraldine.
Mhm. Yeah.
One more. So when do you go from Dallas Black SMU? How do you find your way to Donald Byrd the group? Hey, come on, Jamal, come on,
So
Jamal.
here's the thing. I had actually, when Donald Byrd set the communion on Lula Washington Dance Theater, that's when I first experienced or got to see what that was, right? And I remember watching these girls like nearly throwing up in the wing, trying to get this ballet. And so then years later, I auditioned the way that I was in my senior year auditioning for different things,
Mm-hmm.
and that audition came up. And Brian, who was on here, one of my good Judies, Brian Brooks is on here. He was in the company at the time, And I
Right.
would remember running into him, not just Brian, but other people, you know, whenever I would come to New York or in other places, and I go, "How is it?" And they'd be like,
Uh,
and yet but of course I was going, "Oh, I think I want to do that work. I want to do that." So I go to the audition for Donald. You know, I had other auditions. I had auditioned for Hartford Ballet. I had auditioned for another company, and then Dallas Black was perhaps a possibility at that time. So I had some options.
mhm.
But when I got Donald Byrd, I had to ask a few people who've been in the company, even that I didn't know like what their experience was, because the people at the audition were really, really upset, it seemed. So I called Leonora Stapleton out of the blue and said, "Hi, I know you don't know me. My name is Jamal Story, and I'm just coming out of college, and I just wanted to ask you about your experience with Donald Byrd." And I was just fast forward to decades later. I'm on tour with Cher in Europe, just whatever last year, and of course, you know, Leonora and I've been in touch with her, you know, off and on over the years, and so I knew she was in Leeds. So I said, "Leo, I'm in Leeds," and I think I told her this story, and she's like, "That's right, you did call." And one of the things she said at the time, you know, she says, "Some of us we cross train," and I went, "You cross train? The dance is not enough? You gotta go." You know, she's like, "Yeah, you know, some bike and things and you know, right." And I'm like, "Wait a minute, I have to," because that's how intense this job was going to be. And she told no lies.
Yeah.
For some reason I still took it. I still took it. And at one point I was dancing with Donald Byrd during the day. That was my main job. And then I was dancing with Dwight at night. Like I would do Donald from 12 to 4, and then I'd have a 2 hour break, and then do Dwight from 6 to 8 or 9 at a
Um,
different studio for
is,
different shows.
we're talking about Dwight Roden, right?
Yes, I was dancing with complexions
Jamal, I am going to
and Donald at the same time.
this phone. How in the hell were you doing
I
this?
was I don't know how my body. You know what's so funny? I would get to the rehearsal. I would get to the complexions rehearsal, and my body was perfect movement for me at the time because my body was too tired to fight it. My
Mm,
body just let it. It just went. You
yeah.
Where do you want it? It's alasa through the arasa alasa back to the fourth. That's fine. I'm just gonna because I don't have
Two,
any effort. I don't have any strength.
two of the most technically challenging choreographers of our time,
Yeah.
and I can't even picture how you could do that. Like I used to hear stories like way back in the day of how Dudley was dancing with Graham and Ailey at the same time at one point, like going between the two.
Yeah.
And he had to make a choice, and
Right.
he was like, "Well, I'm going to go with Ailey." No,
Hmm.
but those
Yeah.
two. So tell me, who was in Donald Byrd the group at that time? You were in there.
It was a fresh start. It was everybody left, it seemed, except for
Oh,
Stephanie Gill and Thaddeus Davis. They were both the ones from the year prior. Brian Brooks had been dancing with Donald up until that point and was now the rehearsal director, but he had taken his dance belt off effectively at that time. He put it back on, but he had taken it off at that time. And then it was the five of us that came in together. Well, Jen Perry had been there the year prior as an apprentice, so now she was a full company member. And then Olivia Bowman, Daniel Cardoza, Devin Pullins, and Alexandra Damiani, who later was the artistic director of Cedar Lake. We were the 4 or 5 that came in together.
ooh, Miss Alex, honey, Miss Honey is lethal. That
Yeah,
girl is
yeah.
lethal.
She just came in off the street with an arabesque. We were like, "Oh, you don't have to warm up? Don't you have to get that hip together or don't you have to, like a stretch or something?" She walked into the room and she went, "Arabesque."
Now, okay, so right, so working with Donald, is that because I have my notes here, but they're over there? But is that what led to transitioning into Broadway and Color Purple?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That was all happy act. That was all happy divine intervention as
Yeah.
well. I'd left Donald Byrd. You have to interview Donald Byrd and ask him about this story because it's a brilliant story. But the point is, I had left Donald Byrd to dance for Madonna, but not without a conversation and not without coming back in the middle of my rehearsal period for Madonna, flying myself in to do the last one of the Ellington evening links that we had in Atlanta or somewhere, so that I could honor the rest of my contract, right? And I mean, you know, he threatened me with the fear of God and everything, you know, and then showed up in LA while I was rehearsing for Madonna. He happened to be at the same hotel, and I was going,
Oh.
yeah, for something else, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. Anyway, but that moment sort of actually brought us closer together. That sort of cemented our relationship from our professional relationship from the standpoint of trust.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he trusted that I was going to, at the very minimum, do whatever it is I said I was going to do, which is a premium these days, it turns out. So right, so I do the Madonna tour, and then I think I came back and did something else for him. I did the Cher tour. Cher ended, and then he had just gotten the job. He had just gotten the gig. It was between him and Dwight for choreographer, you know, of The Color Purple, the original production on Broadway.
I forgot about Dwight was up in there running in the running.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were both. Cher happened to be sick that week or something, so I was around for the pre-pro for that process a little bit. Brian replaced me for it to actually do Donald's audition for the gig. He got the gig, and then he says, "Okay, I need you to come in the studio, and so we can start working this stuff out." And now at this point, I had been away for 3 years. Like I hadn't been in a retrograde or a revert. I hadn't, you know. So now I was in the studio with him by myself. It was probably the most grueling 2 hours of my life. And he built some phrases on me that I then taught at auditions. And the intention was never for me to be in the show. I was going to be on the team to just help manage it.
Now I'm gonna get old lady creepy. So I knew about you. I would see you around, you know, like in the maybe sometimes, and I would always say, "Oh, that's that guy. That's that dancer guy." But I admit I wasn't quite sure what your name was. I'll say that.
Sure.
And I left Ailey. I got in India, left Ailey. I'm doing odd jobs and working for Telecharge. And now I don't think I was at Summer Stage yet. But I remember going to see The Color Purple on Broadway. And you came out in that one scene with the overalls on, with no shirt. And I was with my friend. And I was like, "Oh, that's that guy."
That's again.
Looking amazing, just giving the audience body down, the body for the gods. Still do, body down.
I'm trying to, you know, I have no money for plastic surgery, so you know I gotta hold it up to you.
And then, then soon after that, I forget what happened. I saw someone had posted either on Facebook, I don't know where it was, that they were watching Vespers with my cast from Ailey, that old video from.
Yeah.
And I remember I said, "Oh, it was Elijah. What's his name?" Anyway, how did you get to see this? Because I couldn't find my copy. And this person said to me, "Oh, I was at Jamal Stories. He has it. Remember this? You remember this?" And he gave me your number, or you texted me, and you were like, "Yeah, I can meet you between shows and at that Starbucks." This is how. Listen, y'all. This is how sweet a person is. But this is who he is for real, for real. He met me between shows in Times Square District near the Color Purple Theater at a Starbucks just to give me, you had made a copy for me, just to give me a DVD copy of Vespers with Alvin Ailey, with my cast. And that's kind of how our friendship started to really develop. Yes. And then a few years later, then I've seen you more. "Oh, hey, Jamal." And then I knew your name for real.
Right.
And then fast forward, so you're working with Madonna, you work with all these incredible artists, and just quickly, like, you know, I'm sure people are probably, I don't know, maybe they don't care, but what is it like working with Madonna? Like, I know other people that work with her, and they're all, she's great, she's hard, disciplined like crazy, right?
Yeah. It you know what? It was a crazy experience, and I was very fortunate because I got to sort of have a kind of a backseat view in a way. I wasn't on her. It wasn't that I wasn't on her radar. I just wasn't in her path. Do you
Mm,
know what I mean? And so what that did is it kind of, it kind of exonerated me from a lot of really, bad moments that people, everything that people described
mhm,
as as the hard experience with Madonna, I saw it.
mm.
But I didn't always have that experience myself. In fairness, part of the difference too is that this was her first tour back after 8 years of not having toured. The Girly Show was in the 90s. Here we are, it's 2001. She hasn't been seen in this way. She
Mhm.
has brand new people in a lot of ways. They're all trying to prove themselves. So it's not a well-oiled machine in that way. She has a brand new baby. Rocco was a baby. Lola was running around. She was,
Right.
just a little more than a toddler. Um, and she had a new husband, Guy Ritchie. So everything was sort of new for her, and as a result, the the sort of closeness that she is notorious for having with her dancers didn't exist. There
Mm,
wasn't that opportunity or production time really, and everyone was very, very afraid of her.
mm,
Meaning not the dancers so much, everybody, everyone else. Because I guess they knew more. Ignorance is bliss. They knew more about her in that context.
yeah.
So my experience was good. What was really amazing, I mean, the few things that we did together. I mean, she had a birthday party. She had a macrobiotic cake because that was the thing to do at that time. It tasted like cardboard. Um, but we were at her place. We're at her in her backyard in Miami, dancing up a storm, and all that. There were a few moments like that were kind of incredible in that way. But generally speaking, the amazing parts of that tour had to do with the camaraderie that the dancers had, and we were that bunch of dancers who famously walked the contract.
Mhm,
And
mm,
by walk the contract, I mean we hadn't signed our contract yet, and they were so sort of bulldoze heavy with the forward momentum
mhm.
that they were going, yeah, we'll deal with them. They pose no threat. They'll be fine. And we said, no, we won't. We're not gonna. This that you have us doing right now, the way you have us doing it for the amount that's on this piece of paper is insufficient. So we walked, and then we left, and they said, if you guys aren't all back in 30 minutes, you're all fired. And we said, good luck with that. And
Oh,
then we got a call. By the time we'd rendezvoused over, at the house of the dancer, that was sort of like, okay, this is going to be ground zero. The minute we got there, we got the call. Okay, fine, we'll give you everything you want. Just be back by 3 o'clock.
yes. And that takes
Yeah.
me in my next, because I mean, yes, share even that little bit of time I was there for those 6 weeks and that in the vast runs they've done with her. I
Hmm.
relationship she has with her, not only her singers, but especially the dancers. I think that was really special being part of that for those 6 weeks. So just so you guys know, I got to the honor and the privilege and the blessing to do a quick 6 week fill in with Cher in Las Vegas at the Coliseum. And Jamal was already there as part of the cast. So it was brilliant for me to go there scared and nervous as a backing vocalist. I was a dancer, but then to be around my dance family from New York, you, Samaya, also meet Doriana, Dory, for the
Uh-huh.
all that was just so brilliant. But hearing what you just said and reading about this isn't a new role for you, but you're the chairman, am I right, of the
I'm
national
the chair of the National Dance Committee, for SAG-AFTRA.
for SAG-AFTRA, and so great. Thank you for being that person first of all for us,
Sure.
other
Sure.
and I on with COVID and everything else is happening. Are there any initiatives you guys are working on to help artists during this time? Anything you can tell us about that you feel okay to say here?
Yes, 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 yes. There are SAG-AFTRA, the website has COVID compliant sort of ways of being listed by category. So, if you're an actor, you can go and find, there's an actor page that has all of those details. We have one as dancers too. It's slightly different, but some of them are, kind of across the board. Singers have them too, the recording artists. And by the way, yes, that 6 week stint in at Caesars with you there was bliss for me. It was bliss. every night when they would jam out right before Believe, they would jam out, and I was going, all right, what ballet are we doing tonight? What are we doing? Is it Lark Ascending? Is it Red? What are we doing? Blue Suite? I don't know. So you gave me my whole life.
The singers never left the stage, really. They rolled us on our riser.
Yeah, just kind of.
I'm gonna be all serious, and Jamal will be to my left in the wing doing rolls, and I dance with Alvin Ailey, choreography down. I'm on stage trying to be professional and keep singing. He's over there doing cry. He's doing wade in the water. Attitude turns in the wing.
like as if I had on the dress. I would move the dress around. I'd be like, yeah, it's moving. Y'all see this dress?
But I'm really happy to be there, be a part of that. It was such a great time. And I honestly, I always hope and pray, like, maybe I'll still get that phone call back again one day. So share if you're listening.
Right. But yeah, no, to answer your question, one of the things that we did, we just had a meeting recently to kind of go over what those things mean for dancers, yes. And it's dancers and singers, but dancers, it becomes very much, how to deal with the studio and kind of wiping it down and wiping everything down and how auditions need to look, and you can't have several people in there at one time, and you have to rotate things, and now people have to be a little bit more stringent with their auditioning. I mean, there are all kinds of things that we've brought up, makeup kits, how those have to be kept and maintained and managed, and rotating out sponges and things like that. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot, and we have had lots of meetings to sort that stuff out, and so it's being done. You can definitely go to the union page and find some information.
For that, and I just want to make sure. I mean, we didn't even get to the books you've written. 1213, is that right? 1213.
1234. 1234.
Toss in the Ether.
Not Tossing the Ether, which is based.
Right, but
yes,
Black Dance Company. I recognize some stories.
You recognize some stories, didn't you?
Changed.
I had to.
to.
When I was writing "Toss in the Ether," I remember I had Holly Wright was really, really, really supportive early on in the process, as someone who is also an expert on dancing with Black dance companies. Like we've all done, right? And she was reading it for me. She was giving me feedback, and one of the things that she was having a hard time with in "Toss in the Ether" is that some of the dancers get involved, like they get some voodoo information, they get involved in like voodoo and sort of apply that to certain moments. And one of the reasons that I went that route is that I had to come up with something that absolutely did not happen in real life in one of these companies. I said, I don't remember that being a thing. So maybe that's the fiction in this. The real fiction is when they try to, see if they can get this frog to sabotage this ballet. Like that, maybe that's the fiction. That might be it.
Listen, guys, listen. JamalStory.com. The books are on there. Everything he's doing is on there. Please follow him. And also, what I really want to say quickly is I love the series you're doing that was created probably like this during these times, COVID. Beyond the Thread.
Beyond the Thread.
Are having you, Brian, Darrell J. Hunt, right?
Yeah.
Listen, guys, follow Jamal on Facebook. That's where you guys mostly ends up, right?
Yeah, and the website has that information too on Beyond the Thread.
Oh, good. These weekly conversations between these three men and their guests, people that come in, you will get your life. Is it every Thursday?
It's every other Thursday.
Every other
Thursday. Yeah.
Website. Please follow Jamal's story. There is so much more I want to do. Every time I do this, I always have to have a part two.
You actually, I think your next season of this needs to be just going back through the people that you've done already.
That's a great idea. You know what? Because next week I'm gonna go back to my girl Stephanie, who did my second one, Stephanie Breedy. Okay. Anyway, Jamal, I love you.
I love you.
Today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on here. Thank you so much for having me on here. It's great. You're, as far as I'm concerned, you're legendary. So, I am privileged to be on here with you.
Thank you. A big virtual hug. I can't wait.
A big virtual hug.
I'll be in the city this weekend. So if you're around anywhere, Harlem, whatever, let me know. I'll come grab.
Okay. Okay. Oh, really quickly. Oh, I'm supposed. I'd be cussed out if I don't do this. I'm performing on Sunday in upstate New York, Port Jervis. It's there's it's you can come to my page and find that out too.
I saw that. I will put it in my bio.
Okay.
Once again, cut off. Check the link in my bio. I'll post the information. I love you, Jamal Story. Thank you for
I love you.